lightning talk today. If you've been here before, you realize this is a little bit different. That's intentional. So we want everybody, this is like a really great chance for people who maybe want to speak in a more long-form fashion, or just want to like show off some cool stuff they're working on. Give them a chance to get up here and do that. So we'll probably do lightning talks again in the next 3 months-ish. So in between here and then, if you come up with like, hey, I kind of maybe want to give a talk about something, that's a great place to demo it. So we're not going to do a whole lot of pageantry today. We're just going to jump in because I think there's some really going to be some cool stuff. So the first up is Sean showing off some music.
Your timer starts now. Okay. I just want to talk about a little bit and show off my mono. Basically, it's a programmable interface, grid interface, and then in the background I have this thing called shader tone going. So shader tone is a sister project of Overtone. And basically the idea is you write OpenGL shaders and you can control them with music. And so, and also one thing I worked on is a looping interface. So, I mean, this thing is dumb, unless you tell what to do. Just want to show that off. It's actually based off of a Bill Evans piece called Piece Piece. This is progression that he plays, and he just sort of improvises over it forever. So I'm just going to play a little bit of stuff just to show it off. Another one I can show you too. My computer doesn't die because it's pretty hard on it. So that's it. So I can't see anything anymore. Alright, thanks guys. This thing?
Yeah.
There's this mono.org. It's actually independently produced by 2 people in upstate New York, and they locally source all of the manufacturing. So it's like they're kind of expensive, and plus they don't even make this anymore. And they used to make this in a kit that you could build yourself, but because it's so expensive to do it that way, they stopped doing it. But you can still buy them on eBay. And this was originally like $500, but I got it on eBay for $250. But there are tons of interfaces. You might have heard of MaxMSP, maybe. That's a big thing to use with this. But there are lots of libraries, Ruby, Clojure, different things that you can, and even JavaScript to work with. So.
It's Clojure in the hood.
Do what?
It's Clojure. Like under the hood.
Yeah, this is Clojure in the hood.
Hey, Sean. What were you visualizing there? Was that like FFT or something like the music?
Oh, yeah. So you can actually send in all of the audio through FFT, and it processes the shaders. It sends it to a channel in the shader, and it does stuff with it. Not
So it's like a texture? Is that the idea?
Yeah, it's a texture, yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, Sean.
No problem.
Alright, so just a point of clarification. demonstration, in case like anybody's unfamiliar with the rules, basically you get up here and you get 3 to 4 minutes to talk. Basically, how much time you have. So the next person we have is Alex, talking about G-Code Studio.
Box right there.
What can I do?
Yeah.
Alright, no, I guess. Okay.
Alright, so let's go with that. Let's go right here. Let's reload. Okay. So I'm going to be talking about G-Code Studio. So probably a lot of you don't even know what G-Code is, so I'm going to go into that just a little bit really quickly. So this is a 3D model, and the goal here is to 3D print it. So when you talk about a 3D model, what you're actually talking about is usually like vertices and faces, and what you're talking about is raw geometry. You're not actually, it's kind of a mathematical, platonic ideal of what the shape actually is. It's not something you can actually like print. What this will actually generate, usually you start off with an STL file, which is just describes like, you know, this, you can see kind of little some triangles on this small business site, by the way, and there's a bunch of triangles here, and that's actually what is getting put into the STL file. So what you need to do before you print it is you bring it into something like, this is Cura for Ultimaker. There's also for MakerBot, there's like MakerBot Desktop, and like basically like every printing platform has some kind of slicer software. And so what the slicer software does is it actually takes that model and starts from the bottom and kind of goes up and basically describes the path that the printer is actually going to take, the nozzle. So in this case, it would go all the way around, and this is up a ways, and you can see here there's like, it's going to draw like some fill in between. It's got the red line, which is the outer exterior of the print, and then these blue lines are places where it has to kind of jump back and forth really quickly. And so what happens is you do that, and it either like there's an immediate connection from the desktop software to the printer, or sometimes you'll actually save it, and what you save is called G-Code. And I'll let you see what G-Code looks like. So this is G-Code. If we go all the way to the top, it has like some values to set the printer up. But basically, it just starts going on like this, and this, and this, and on and on and on. So this is telling the printer actually what to do. This is not like it, like saying you draw a vertex here or something like this. This is it telling the motor to go, like this line right here is saying go to X, the X coordinate. Actually, there is an X motor, and it goes to this coordinate, and a Y motor that goes to this coordinate, and it says extrude this much. So that's the filament in the printer that's saying you need to go here to extrude this much filament, so it goes to. And when you get done, it looks like this, right? So it's nice. It's kind of this perfect print. The slicer is going through a lot of effort to make sure that everything looks good. This special treatment for the under the ears to make sure it like prints good. And I know what you're all thinking right now. You're saying like, Alex, I'm a maverick. I don't want my prints to be perfect. You know, I don't like to draw within the lines. So what are you going to do? Well, G-Code Studio. It's available for download now, which basically means download into the browser because it's just an HTML5 page. But what you can do is you can actually open up a G-Code file, and this is just like, so this is what comes out of the slicer. Bring it into G-Code Studio. Wait a second. And so this kind of looks like the model that we just drew, but or that just got printed. But this is actually a rendering of the path of the nozzle face. And so it's just like a canvas drawing like all those X and Y coordinates. You can see it from the top. You can see it from the side rotating. And then there's a little ACE editor at the bottom that lets you do things like C plus equals. Let's say 1.01 z. So I'm just going to add a little bit, like an exponential function to the z.
Could you scoot over just a little bit?
A little bit. Sorry. So it's right here, and run that. And so that doesn't do a whole lot, but if I like kind of increase that to like 0.5, starts to stretch a little bit, and then if I make that like 9, it goes like that. So we got this cone head. So one of the things to remember is like you can totally do this to the model, but when you do it to the model, that will actually, the slicer will go through and it'll like slice that all up correctly and make it look right. When you do it in G code, it doesn't. It's going to mess it up. And so it's a little bit like glitching. So if we go back over here, this is what happens when you print it. And so you can see like because it's an exponential function, it's like printing pretty good up to here. And then it starts to get up here and the lines are too far apart. And it starts to, they don't stick together anymore until you get to the very top and it just like gets a little messy. I'm going to show you really quickly some of the other ones. So let's take this one. Move back there and back here. And there we go. All right. So this is what happens if you kind of like make the y-axis go based on the z. So basically you get this kind of really long, crazy guy like that. And we look at what that actually looks like. So that comes out looking something like this. So you can see what's happening here is it's stretching it out, and there's not enough filament to actually fill in all that space. And so when it gets up to the top, it just starts to do that.
This hurts.
Alex, how big are these? Or like, it's hard to tell from photos.
Pretty small, which is ideal because they take a long time. I mean, that took about an hour to print, which is kind of typical of 3D printers. So it's nice to be able to like go through a bunch of iterations really quickly. And speaking of which, sounds like my bell. Let me just show you a couple more really quickly. So, so this is kind of the same thing, but it looks like that. A couple more, and then I'm not going to show you. This is what happens when you apply a parabola to Walt space. It comes out like that, or it did that one time. This is some kind of messed up stuff, but anyway, G-Code Studio is available online on GitHub right now. And if you want, I got all the prints right here, so you can take a look at them.
Roll right along. Brett, come on up. Do you need a laptop? You need a computer?
Yeah.
Oh, we got yours.
I'm bringing the heat. Is this set up to mirror or?
This is
Yeah, that's fine. Thank you.
good.
Yeah, just change this.
Yeah. So while he's setting that up, yeah, let's do a little few announcements. Let's take this little interim to thank all of our awesome sponsors. They're all online, so I don't remember all of them. That's what I had. Also just to let you know that in case this is like your first time hearing anything, we do these every week. And if you would ever like to give a talk, or if you'd ever like to hear a talk, please let me know, and we can make that happen. For instance, like if you want to give a talk next week, that's cool with me. We can make that happen. So you just let me know. I realize that everybody is really excited to do that.
Do you have any topics in particular that you're looking for right now?
No. Whatever you're interested in, just probably a good chance someone else in here is interested in that.
Does anyone want to hear about something but can't give a talk on it?
If so, let me know. Ready, Brett?
Ready.
All right.
Let's do it.
Go.
So this is a little journey. Started out with a desire to have a minimalistic site generator / prototyper that I could just drop into really quick and bang out like a quick prototype or a quick static site and then push it up to some production quality environment. So as my journeys go, I checked out a lot of static generators over here. And all of them had their pluses and minuses, of course. And I tried a few of them out, but I felt most of them were overkill for what I wanted to do. So I was laying in bed one night thinking about the best way to do this, and I recalled looking at Jade at some point and remembered, hey, you know, Jade offers some templating out of the box that I can use to do that. And it also occurred to me that I could combine it, of course, with Gulp, which I was already using, and I didn't have to make any compromises on the build process. So I had a graveyard of Gulp configs laying around, but I wanted to start fresh, so I started looking around, and I went on a long and rather arduous hunt for the best Gulp config boilerplate. You know, I wanted to level up on my Gulpology as well, so eventually I stumbled onto this guy who offered like a really nice kind of like modular Gulp config, and I went running with that. And like I said, this is a way that I wanted to be able to start my projects as quickly as possible and push them up to production quality environment. So that's where DivShot comes in. I don't know if you guys know about DivShot. It's like a kind of a Heroku for static sites. They offer like a baked-in CDN right out of the box. So, and also like several sort of like development, staging, and production environments that you can push up to. So, yeah, DivShot. So, active corners are a bitch. So, yeah, so once I had it up on my repo and I was cloning it down, there was, as it turned out, quite a few steps I was taking to do that. So I cloned the repo down, change into the folder, or change the folder name that I just pulled down, CD into the directory, run DivShot in it to get that going, which included 6 commands, and then CD into the SAS folder that I had set up, and do Bower install, same thing for the JS, and remove the portal folders, and blah, 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 and like 27 steps. And then I was like, well, you know, I'm tired of going through this process every time, so let me just throw together a little bash script, so that's kind of what this is. A little interactive bash script. It takes just like a site name, renames a folder, goes in and does all the Bower stuff and removes some unnecessary folders that I don't need, and does git init and does all the repo stuff, blah blah. So yeah, that's kind of the setup, and combine this with Hub, which is pretty cool. You can create your repos directly from the command line, and pretty much you just run the bash command and it runs the open sublime, runs Gulp, and everything is already pushed to DivShot and you're already live. That's it.
Thanks. All right, let's see. No? Sure, yeah, I'll go in a minute. Okay. All right. So the thing I'm going to talk about today, I didn't really have anything prepared. Didn't really expect to be doing this, just kind of doing it off the fly because that's the way we do things, right? So the problem that I had recently, or the solution that I've been trying to solve recently is how
how can you solve the problem that we all encounter every day where there's change in the requirements of the product, the solution, the page, the app, the entity basically, of what you want to do, and what is the quickest and easiest way to take that change in requirement and get it out to production. So I've come across my setup that I basically have a way where I have to do 2 basic changes in the page or in the project in order to reflect that change in the requirement. I have to make a change in my HTML page in order to create the HTML element, and then I take and change my entity definition on the back end. And with those 2 basic changes in the project, running some update commands, then generates all the models, or the models reflect back and forth between using Breeze.js on the client side and the server side. So I get local caching on the client, I get entities on the client, I can create entities that have change tracking, that take and reflect my required attributes and all the display attributes, all that stuff all the way up through. So I basically have to make 2 changes in 2 different files in order to make fulfill the requirements, change requirements. So that's kind of the solution that I came up with, and I was wondering if anybody had any maybe better solutions. I mean, I use ASP.NET on the back end, MVC, and I use Breeze controllers for the API. I have a Breeze client that does the data layer on the client side, and I have everything separated out into view models and whatnot with Angular. So the Angular Breeze on the front end and ASP.NET and Breeze on the back end kind of allows me to take those changes in requirements and implement them as soon as possible, or as quickly and easily as possible with the fewest possibilities for bugs. So that's kind of my solution to it, and I was hoping that maybe if anybody else had any better solutions, maybe if you just had to make one change in your JavaScript model, that'd be kind of cool. Things like that. If you had any ideas or solutions for me, that'd be really cool. But I mean, does anybody else have any other general solutions that you want to kind of yell out at me? No? No worries. We can talk later. But anyway, that's my lightning talk. Trying to find the easiest way to make changes. It's a problem that we all run into every single day. So, anyways, I'm done.
Alright. I think up next is Bentley. And we're going to have extra time. I have a list, but I have some room down here. Anybody else wants to jump on that list? Oh. Chris is awesome, didn't work. Chris is awesome, didn't work. It was a good try, though. Good try. So I felt the need to follow Anthony Blardo's talk last week with a very important follow-up talk. I think for those of you that weren't here, Anthony gave a very cool talk on building quadcopters. I've been building mine. I accidentally lit it on fire last Sunday. So I'm going to talk about LiPos and safety, something he breezed over. So what is a LiPo?
Anyone have any questions about it?
Good.
What are you working on right now?
So right now, I've got a bunch of small projects. I've mostly been trying to learn different tools in the Unreal Engine, which is now free. It used to be $15 and 5%. Now it's free, 5% of what you make after $10,000. But this engine used to cost like $1,500 a year and they'd only give it to AAA. So anyways, it's a really powerful engine. So I'm working on learning all the different tools in that, which is cool. And I'm looking at integrating the Oculus with that. So I'm kind of doing some weird VR stuff. Yeah.
Is this going to be talking about making games or actually making games?
No, this is going to be making games. This is
yeah.
something I'm really interested in. Making sure that we have a forum to talk about games, but at the same time, we less yak, more hack is kind of a focus. All right. Well, that's all the time I'm going to take today. It's good to see you guys all here today.
Terrible at preparing for things, so it's a good thing I didn't prepare. I am Andrew Steele, some of you know me. I am a front-end engineer now for a company over in Hickson called OrthoBank. Just started there a few weeks ago, learning Ember. It's awesome stuff. What I want to talk to you today is how to do a good demo, which I probably should have prepared for because I'm about to do it. What you want to do when you do a good demo, all of us have products that we have to share with other people, whether it's software or if we made a new design. First thing you want to do is figure out who your target audience is. So take a look at, am I going to be delivering this to stakeholders? Am I going to be delivering this to a public audience? Do I have a specific niche in mind? And when you start from the place of, this is the people I'm trying to reach, then you can start to dive into the script for your demo. And when you write out a script, really try and write it out as though it's going to be read. Now that sounds funny, but a lot of us will write and write and write without thinking about, oh, I'm actually going to have to speak this out. So when you're writing your script, take some pauses every now and then, read out loud what you've written, and make sure it actually sounds right. One of the things that a lot of people do when they're writing a script, like I said, they just write and write and write. They don't give any ideas to rhythm. They don't give any idea to pauses. They don't give any idea to the fact that, oh, this is a 1,500 word sentence that I'm going to have to try and get out in one breath. That's probably not going to work. Once you've got a script in mind, start looking at your resources. What am I going to be demoing? And start getting your screen captures, start getting documentation together if you need to have a better idea of what it is that you're trying to present to people. And keep in mind, again, your target audience. If you're going to stakeholders, they need to know what is the functionality of what I'm demoing to them. How is this going to affect the bottom line? And if you're going to a public audience, say that you have a product that you're trying to sell, how is this going to make them more awesome at what they want to do? So when you're writing your script, when you're compiling your resources and getting an idea in mind of what you're going to demo and how you're going to demo it, keeping in mind, again, your target audience. When you get to that point where you're starting to record, you want to make sure that you have clear ideas on your screen of what's going on. If you're showing a web product as an example, make sure that you're zooming in to the part that's most important. Don't show the whole interface if they only need to know about the modal. Don't show the whole screen if they just need to see how this little interaction is working. Zoom in. And again, use your voice and your narration to help them guide through. This is what it's going to feel like when you're using this product. As my particular niche, as my target audience, this is the experience that I'm going to be having with this. And if you get halfway through your demo and you say, this experience isn't that good, well, then you probably shouldn't demo it. Go back to the drawing board. And of course, speaking of drawing boards, it's never a bad idea to storyboard out what you want to do. I'm good, and I've done enough demos now, I can have a visual idea in my head of this is what it's going to look like as I'm recording things. But if you need that extra help, get some storyboard templates, write out little stick figure drawings of what you're going to do. And always remember the human element. You're not selling something to a robot, you're selling it to a person. Why would they want it? Why should they love it? What are their experiences going to be? And why should anyone want what you're selling anyways? Thanks, guys.
So I think we're just about out of time. So I'm actually going to demo something. I wasn't going to do this, but I thought it'd be a good time to show this off a little bit. And I also kind of wanted to, because it leads into a different announcement. Alright, so this is actually a thing I've been working on for a while now, but I haven't showed anybody yet outside of my coworkers. So this, if I can zoom out, this is the data from Meetup for lunch for the last year. So this is all the attendance for every lunch of last year. So you can see down here, this is test-driven development in Django. We had 8 people. Maybe there's a lot of jokes about that. I'm just gonna leave those jokes alone. But actually, all the way out, all the way over here, I think this is Aaron's talk about forms. Fixie's talk about SAS. All kinds of great stuff. And we're like up over 60 out here. And like it's really cool to go in and see these trends. And you can actually you can kind of do correlation between the colors correspond to the type of talk that it is, right? So brown is a process, for instance, like how do you write better code, or this kind of purple color is design. And so this has been a really eye-opening thing for us to go through and look at and see what's going on. Also, you can go and hover over this. I broke this the other day, I think. So you can actually see, you can find yourself on here, and you can see all the talks that you went to. Is Vinny here? That dude missed 3 talks. 5 talks ever. Awesome. So I think he's got the record for showing up to the most things. But you can actually go find yourself, and you can see which ones you actually you went to. And you can kind of correlate, hey, what am I interested in? This is pretty funny. So I'm going to open this up so other people can see it and play with it, and we'll probably do another one before this coming year. I'd like to do these more often, but it's really cool. And that kind of leads into an announcement. It's just that I wanted to say thank you to everybody. I really love this community, and I love that it's grown so much. And I want to see it grow more. That's also a little bit of asking for help. This is getting to be a fairly big job. And so if you're interested in helping me and Andrew and Rich and everybody else out who's running meetups, please talk to somebody about it because they would love for your help, I'm sure. So anyway, I'll leave you with that. And that could be giving a talk, or it could be helping with logistics or whatever. Wherever you felt like you could be helpful, if that's something that you want to do, that'd be awesome. So anyway, thanks everybody for coming out today. Thanks everybody for being a part of the community, and we will see you next week.